G'day guys, this clip is about factorizing quadratic equations if we don't have a common factor. Enjoy! When we factorize quadratics, we normally need to look at the first coefficient in front of my x squared. If that coefficient is a common factor, we can take it out of all the terms and then start factorizing. But now we're going to look at what happens if that first coefficient is not a common factor in the quadratic equation. There are a few steps that we need to follow to then factorize an equation. The steps are as follows. So step 1, we need to start with two brackets like we normally do in any factorization. Step 2 is we need to multiply the first coefficient with the constant. Step 3 is we need to find factors for the constant and coefficient. Step 4 is we need to rewrite the equation. And step 5, we need to factorize both halves of the equation. This will all make sense as we go along. With step 1 is we start with two brackets. We know that our final answer is going to be step 1. So in this case, I'm just going to highlight it so that I remember right at the end my final answer has to be in two brackets. So let's go to step 2. Multiply the first coefficient and the constant. If this is my example, what I need to do is I need to multiply this 3 with that -6. When I multiply those two, a positive and a negative gives me a negative, and 3 and 6 gives me 18. Now that I have 18, I need to use 18 as if it is the new constant. So technically, my new equation is going to read 3x squared minus 7x minus 18. So what I need to do now is I need to go to step 3, which is find the different factors for the new constant and the coefficient. So we know in factorizing when we need to find values or factors for the constant and the coefficient, the two values need to multiply to get -18, and when you add them together, it needs to give you -7. Looking at this example, it is quite an easy one because I've got 18 and I've got 7, so the two factors that spring to mind is 9 and 2. The important thing we need to do now is we need to make sure that we use the correct symbol with the correct number. We know to get a negative, the only way we can get a negative is a positive times a negative. Therefore, one of them will be positive and one of them will be negative. To see which one it is, we look at the 7. For me to go to -7, I'm going to need a -9 and a 2. Now that I've identified that it's going to be a -9 and a 2, let's check if we can actually get this right answer. -9 times 2 gives me -18, and -9 plus 2 gives me -7. Therefore, I know my two factors will be -9 and 2. I've done step 3. Then I go to step 4, which is rewrite the equation. What is meant by rewriting the equation is I need to write this equation again using these two factors. So I'm going to start with 3x squared. Instead of writing my -7x, I'm going to put these two terms in the middle because -9x plus 2x will give me -7x. So I'm going to start writing -9x plus 2x. Please remember it's very important to use your original constant when we rewrite this equation, -6. That is step 4 done. Now I need to go into step 5, which is factorize both halves of the equation. So step 5 is divided into a little bit more than just factorize both. So before we can factorize, we need to put brackets in. So I'm going to put the first two terms in brackets, as well as the last two terms. Please remember, the third term, whatever symbol it is, needs to be inside the bracket as well. Now I need to factorize both halves. It is very important that when we factorize, our brackets look exactly the same. That is very important. So I factorize the first bracket by taking 3x out. What's 3x times what gives me 3x squared? X. 3x times negative 3 gives me 9 minus 9x. Same this side, I took a 2 out. As you can see, my two brackets look exactly the same. This is very important, otherwise you're not going to get the right answer. So what I need to do now is I need to put these brackets together. So my two brackets that look exactly the same, they become one bracket. And the two values that I've taken out of my brackets to factorize, they become a second set of brackets. So when I factorize this equation, I go back to step number 1, which is my final answer has to be in two brackets. 3x plus 2, x minus 3. And that is how you factorize an equation that does not have a common factor. I hope this clip helped. If it did, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with anyone it might possibly benefit. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Also, please find the links to quadratic factorization over here, as well as the symbol rule. See you next time. Bye.